Hey everybody, Rob here. It's time for a few new malicious compliance stories. First one, lazy manager reneges on a request after I describe what they want. Let's jump right in. Did you know we have a small Discord channel? Hit the link in the description below and come have a chat because I'm on there every day. Also, if you haven't already, consider hitting that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. This malicious compliance comes from my girlfriend Jessica, not her real name. For background, my girlfriend is a software test engineer at a computer science related company. She has a lot of jobs there, but one of them involves the review of bugs in the application, which she sees in the form of a ticket. For background, when Jessica started working at this company, her manager Bob would force every new hire to attend meetings every day, going over the ticketing system in excruciating detail, even though all of the new hires stated that they had used them before and didn't need another tutorial. This finally culminated in her manager stating in front of the whole team that the new hires couldn't attend a meeting as they had to go over the ticketing software, and all of the new hires resoundingly stating they didn't need any more tutorials and would be able to attend, which they did. These tickets get sent to various people, test engineer managers or developers, etc. And in order for them to be closed, the bug needs to be reproduced by the person who wants to close it, and a fix to prevent the bug needs to be added to the code of the product. Here is where the malicious compliance takes place. Jessica is reviewing a ticket documenting a bug in the product, and she consults her manager. The ticket gets sent to her manager, who is tasked with reproducing it in order to develop a patch for said bug. Instead of this, her manager asks her to close the ticket herself as he can't reproduce the bug. This is clearly not how the ticket reporting works, as the whole point is that the open tickets have not been fixed yet. Jessica would just close it since her manager Bob told her to, and she has only worked there for a few months. The only problem with this is that the ticket reporting software requires a reason for closing the ticket to be documented, so people know who to talk to should issues occur. Since Jessica is new, people would expect her to make mistakes, and it wouldn't be the end of the world if she incorrectly closed a ticket, but she wasn't down to take the fall for something she had no control over. Since Jessica needs to add a reason for closing the ticket and doesn't want to go against the request of her manager, she writes back to him, "Sorry you can't reproduce it, what should I do?" "Go ahead and close the ticket, can't reproduce the bug." "Sure, since you mentioned in the tutorial on the ticketing software that all tickets require a reason for closing, I'll close it and add as a reason, Bob can't reproduce the bug and I was advised by Bob to close it." Her manager immediately replies back, as he apparently just realized what the description of his job was, and tells her not to close the ticket and that he will work immediately to reproduce the issue so it can be documented. Since this, her manager has appropriately documented every ticket she's sent without any inane comments. Too many managers get paid just to fill a chair and don't actually do their jobs. It's no wonder that when most people quit, they actually quit the manager and not the job. On to our next story, when shipping costs more than the item itself. Let's jump right in. Saw another post that was kind of similar to this, figured I'd share my story too. In 2019, my wife and I welcomed our first child into the world, and as a baby shower gift, my father, who lives on the other side of the country, wanted to buy us a crib. Obviously, the easiest way to do this was to order from Amazon, so that is what he did. Total came out to something like $650 plus free shipping. Now, my wife and I were the ones to select which crib we wanted, and my father had no issue with the price. My dad orders it from his account, shipped to my address. So the crib shows up, they drop it at the base of our driveway, and we have about 15 steps up to our front door. That box is heavy, probably handy up 500 pounds, and it's just me and my pregnant wife, so me. But we get it in and we spend a day building it and go on with our lives. But as ads do what ads do, my phone was bombarded with ads for cribs, including the one my father just bought us less than 2 weeks ago, and surprise, surprise, it's gone on sale for $430. So I contact Amazon, let them know what's going on, and ask if they have a 30-day price guarantee. I figured there was no reason to tell my dad he could have saved $220 if he wasn't able to get the money back. Now, because it was over $200, they couldn't just do a refund, but said that we could return the crib and order a new one. Unfortunately, we've already built the crib and can't return it, so they told us order a new one. When that crib comes in, return the old one, get the refund. I made sure to ask about return shipping, and they said that would be covered as the item has free shipping, and I saved the transcript of our conversation. So that's what we start to do. I contact my dad, he puts a new order in, and we wait for the box to arrive. Similar situation, heavy box left at the edge of my driveway, but this time the weather was pretty crappy and the box got ruined. I took photos of it sitting at the curb and then moved it inside. I let my dad know, and he contacts Amazon and then gets an email providing the return address and instructions on how to return, including a blank affixed postage here spot on the label. Back to talking to Amazon support, and they're very sorry and look into it. Apparently, shipping on this crib is like $350. I'm sitting there with 2 cribs and proof that Amazon said they'll cover the return shipping, so like $1,050 in shipping, all for what amounts to a $430 crib. So they told us to keep it and refunded the original purchase of $650. My sister lived a few hours from me, and her husband were looking at starting to try for kids, so she got herself a crib as a baby shower gift from my dad too. I do know a person who ordered an air conditioner from Amazon and it didn't show up at their house until about 3 weeks after what was supposed to be their delivery day. Amazon had already done a refund by that point, and they just told them if it does show up, don't worry about it, you got yourself an air conditioner. On to our next story. Got told to f*** off by my assignment group, and that's just what I did. Let's jump right in. I do a computer science degree at university. We had a group work project which is set out in 2 stages. Part A involves making an application and writing a report about it 50-50 split. Part B, we got feedback from Part A and had to improve upon it. In total, it was 100% of a module. It is also important to note that there is a group contribution report where each student puts in how much they think each student has done. I was in a randomly selected group with 4 others. We each picked a part of the work that we wanted to do. I was apparently the group's most confident coder, so assigned myself about half of the code, and finished up my work in about the first 3 weeks and worked on other projects I have for other modules. Then, soon after I finished my work, the others asked me if I can do their parts of the code too. I initially protest as I have my other coursework due, but eventually I say fine, but so long as it is noted in the GCR, they all agree. I sweated out over the next 3 weeks or so alongside my other coursework. I contacted my module organizer explaining that I had done half the work, and they suggested if people weren't pulling their weight to leave the group, taking my code with me and do the report. That would mean I would need to work flat out to produce the report and probably would mess it up. I didn't want that. The deadline was in about a week and I honestly can't be arsed. Then I got asked to do some report too because they didn't understand how the code worked. By this point, I felt pretty used by them. Didn't really mind so long as I got the marks. All in all, I worked out that I had done the workload of 3 people. There was talk amongst the others of all writing that we each contributed 20% of the workload to make us look better as a team. I flatly refused. They exploded, calling me every name under the sun, swearing at me, telling me to f*** off. I sent off my group contribution report with 60 for me and 10 each for the rest, and thought that was that. My module organizer then emailed me asking if I had any proof of this, as they all put me at 0% and themselves at 25%. I'd worked my butt off on this project, putting in 150 plus hours on the code, and another 50 plus on the diagrams and report, all while attending lectures 20 hours a week, over 7 weeks, which if you do that math, averages at an extra 4 hours a day. On top of all my other assignments and commitments, etc., there was no way I was letting it slide. I emailed him back, linking him to the GitHub I used to share the code with the team. GitHub is a source control that shows who made changes to the code, and showed him that all the commits, versions of the code, were done by me, proving that I did all of it. And thankfully, we did the whole report on Google Drive, so I could also see the history on that document and send him screenshots of all the alterations made by me, proving that I wrote 20% of the report also. He added it all up and made a special exception for my group, saying he would give me most credit for the work. I think I ended up with a 65 and they all get 11 for the whole coursework part A. They would need 69% to even pass the module. So turned out I f***ed up a bit on the code, only getting about 50% of the marks with like a massive issue in it. Dumb me. For anyone interested, I didn't make an MVC structure correctly, but my report sections were near perfect. Spelling mistakes, a common thing I do, and formatting, etc. There were a few glaring mistakes from the report that they had written, but other than that, not bad. When they found out their marks, they started calling me up and emailing me and messaging me almost for about 3 hours. I was happily out at the time and didn't have my phone with me, so didn't respond. My module organizer sent an email explaining that they had lied and he had proof about it, so corrected the marks accordingly. When I got back to my phone, I screenshot all the messages they had sent and recorded all the voicemails, including the ones they had sent previously, including multiple occasions where everyone in the group told me to f*** off. And f*** off I did. I sent all these voicemails and screenshots to my module organizer requesting that I leave my group and understand that it is more work for me, but I'd rather not deal with that. He agreed and also escalated the messages to someone higher up. At this point, I quit the group and decided to work on part B by myself, taking all of my code with me, removing their access to all of it. I, of course, asked my module organizer first, and they said it was fine as it was my work, and if I was no longer in their group, the others couldn't submit it. I fixed the error in the code in about 2 weeks, then did the whole report from scratch almost and added a load about the fix, taking me about 7 weeks. I then get messages from the group to please come back, we really need you kinda stuff on the end few days of the assignment. They even offered to pay me. I screenshot it and sent it to the module organizer just to let him know what is happening and then just ignore them. I ended up submitting 2 weeks early for the deadline and got 100% on the whole section 2, which is basically unheard at university, especially by yourself for group work. Later that day, I get an email from a plagiarism and collusion officer, not someone you ever want to get an email from. Basically says I'm summoned to a hearing as an external body looked at both my group, me, myself and I, and my old group's coursework and thought it was very similar. I get the whole project that my group handed in and my own back as evidence so I can look and prepare my answer to their questions. I email my module organizer, ask if he supports me in this because basically they can punish all of you or one group, never nobody. He says yes, he supports me in this. Perfect. I prepare for this meeting by going through the hundreds of commits I have made while they had access to find the one that is most similar to it. I find a perfect match, 0 differences, not even a single character, through the thousands of lines of code. So I turned up to this meeting. There is the VP of computing there, guy who could basically do whatever the hell he wants to us. My old group, when asked to present their answer as to why this has happened, go on about how they did all of it by themselves, blah blah blah, you get the point. This goes on for about 10 minutes. Then I am asked to present my argument. I ask if I can share my screen. Yeah, okay, puzzled. So I share it, show all the screenshots I took, as some of the people in the meeting weren't aware that we knew each other, including them basically begging for me to come back, offering money too. And as if this wasn't enough to convince them, I then showed me downloading a fresh version of what they submitted and a fresh version of one of my commits on the GitHub, and running it through a trusted comparison software. I narrated this to explain what I was doing, just to be clear. Took a while, but came up as I knew it would, zero differences. Everyone was stunned. One of the group members uttered, "But..." I just laughed and was quickly asked to hang up as I was no longer involved. Turned out they had cloned one of my commits and still had a copy on their laptop when I blocked their access, not being able to fix it at all, so just submitted it and hoped for the best. One of my friends, who is friends with one from my old group, asked what grade they got, and they said that they failed the whole module as they got a 0 for the second section, giving them just 5.5% overall for the module. You need 40 to pass, and would have to retake it over the summer, costing them and everyone in my old group their placement year jobs. After all, who wants someone who failed a module so badly and who was intellectually dishonest working for them? This meant that they all lost out on being paid $20,000 each for the year's work, which goes a long way for a uni student, while I happily get mine. With GitHub and Google Drive and Google Docs and all of these other things that record exactly what happens in them, why would people even think they can get away with something like this these days? It doesn't make much sense and doesn't seem to be at the intelligence level that somebody would need to be in university. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'd like to thank all 3 OPs for posting their stories to the Malicious Compliance subreddit. You can visit them at the links in the description below. Please go there and give them an upvote. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends. And we'll see you in the next one.